Welcome to another episode of Remasculate with your host, Steve Mudflap McGrew. Hey, that's me. Yeah, welcome back, guys. I know it's been a, as I said, that's been a minute, hasn't it? Why do they say that's been a minute when it's always longer than a minute? Even much, much longer than a minute. I haven't seen you in like a minute. Well, anyway, I'm back. Wow, what a year this has been, hasn't it? I don't want to get too deep into that right at this point because this is supposed to be a fun podcast. This podcast is where you come, learn a little bit, laugh a lot, and just have a good time. And try to man up America a little bit. A lot of times my guests look like, why are you having me on? Because I'm not really one of those guys that's about like man up America. And I go, well, yeah, everybody's got their own opinion on what man up is. And so, a lot of times I'll just ask them toward the end, all right, what do you think we could do to man up America or make America's boys a little more manly again? Because we got, let's be honest, we got a little too much soy in our boys today, if you know what I'm saying. And I know you do, because that's why you listen to Remasculate. Things have been going good for me. Work's picked up. This whole COVID thing, kind of ruined the entertainment business for a long time. But we're back. And right now, well, not right this second, I'm home in the studio basement. And I'm editing the podcast that I recorded on the ship with Finis Henderson. Finis is one of Vegas's finest entertainers. This guy is an amazing song and dance man. Matter of fact, Sammy Davis Jr. is his godfather. He's the godson of Sammy Davis Jr. However that works. Yeah. Anyway, I've known Finis for years, and we just finally happened to be on the ship at the same time and thought, let's sit down and record a Well, I can't even talk. Let's sit down and record a podcast. And we did. So, why waste any more time? Let's get right to it. Here is the podcast I recorded live on a cruise ship in my cabin. So if it sounds a little echoey, that's because it's in a big open room. All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Finis Henderson. Yeah! Aloha. Welcome to another episode of Remasculate. It's your host, Steve Mudflap McGrew. I have a great guest this week. I know I say that every week, but you go, yeah, you were right. You do have a great guest.
There's a lot of great people around.
There's a lot of great people in this world.
And you don't want to say you have somebody that's ungreat.
That's right.
I'm very great and grateful to be here with you, Steve.
It'd be bad if I go, man, I got this
motherfucker.
I can't believe I got this guy on the air.
Yeah.
Why would I ask
Did
this?
I just use the
That's fine.
expletive?
It's a podcast.
Okay.
But we're doing this actually live from my cabin, my crew cabin,
Your
my
beautiful
little
suite, actually. It's a crew suite.
It's a renovated closet that they've turned into a
No, it's much better than a closet.
It's very nice.
Yes.
People always ask me about the cruise short and the cruise ship.
accommodations.
Yeah, you get that too.
Yeah.
What do they give you? What's it like?
Yeah.
What do you?
Do they pay you?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, really?
Do they put you down in the bottom with the crew, or
do you have to eat? Do you have to pay for your food?
I get all that stuff.
Yeah, they always have done that. People want to know.
Yeah.
Because they question the workers.
Yeah.
All the time.
Well, my great guest, as you can hear over here, is the one, the only, Finis Henderson. Now, Finis,
yes,
I've known you 4 years, and of you for longer years, and
you and what you showed me last night, pictures
like a picture
that I was like, wait, now,
I think I've seen that. Yeah, that's the same guy. That's the one that used to work the Funny Bones.
Right. Yeah, doing the Funny Bone chain.
Yeah,
they were pretty big.
They were. Oh, they still are. They just not for us anymore.
Yeah, right.
Apparently,
I don't hear. All I hear is improv. And not that I'm searching for it. Maybe I mean, how many big chains are there? Is improv and the Funny Bone still?
Those are the two major chains, and then there's some smaller ones like Helium Comedy Club that have I think 3 or 4, and then the Looney Bin has like 4 clubs.
Okay.
And
you ever do Pickwick and Frolic?
No, in
Ohio. Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah. I used to when it was Hilarities.
Yes.
It was, and then they changed.
I think the name was still Yeah, Pickwick and Frolic.
But there was a great guy that ran it. I can't remember his name. Nick. Nick. Does he still do that?
I don't know if Nick is still doing it or if Nick is, still
around.
You're
looking for the right word.
Yeah. But he was very nice.
Always nice.
And the place was great. Mm-hmm. Food was delish.
Yeah.
And it was they had the downstairs, and then it was very.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I did it twice, and I remember when I did it that when I spoke to him and my manager at the time or something like, hey, I wanted you here before, but your manager, didn't play ball or whatever it was. I don't know.
I've heard that too.
I was very happy with my manager for many years,
Yeah.
But I had no idea, like maybe some people that, he was doing things.
Isn't that amazing? Mine did the same thing to me. When I fired my manager that I had when I first moved to L.A.,
right.
I had him for several years.
Yes.
Kept me busy, always working, just always working.
Yeah. Would you like to do this gig?
Yeah.
Yes, that sounds good. It
right.
This much,
constantly.
I guess we didn't understand the word transparency, and let me see the contract from who you're,
right.
The direct. Let me sign the contract, not your contract.
After I got rid of him, I contacted Mike Lacey, who ran and booked the Comedy Magic, and said, hey, I've been trying to get into your club. And he goes, I would love to have you.
Yes.
I've been wanting you, but your manager was always telling me I had to take such and such if I took you. And I didn't want him.
Right.
And
of all people, Mike Lacey.
Yeah, one of the nicest guys in the world.
Mr. Mike Lacey. I did my one-man show there for like 2 years.
Did you really?
Was Jay Leno still doing Sundays?
The Sunday night, every Sunday
Even
night
then,
thing?
He was doing that forever. And I don't know if he's going to be able to come back from this COVID thing, but it was always nice, especially with the Comedy Magic, because he actually would have magicians, and comic.
Yeah.
Now it just evolved into just 10 comics a night thing.
Right. 10 for $10, I think.
Exactly. But for 2 years, he always was like one that believed in my talent and just thought I was so wonderful, and he and his wife, rather his wife and I, sat down and wrote out and formulated, the wording and how we were going to do the play that I wrote called Someone of Note. And we did it for 2 years there. It was about my little world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
What year was that?
I would say this was about maybe 6 years ago, maybe. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't really heavy, nor am I even now, into social media, where I just
promote.
Yes,
share.
I didn't. When I think of it now, I said I didn't call this person, but he would bring in some people, and wanted to tweak it. But I wanted to use. He had a certain idea of how he wanted it presented, whereas I still wanted to bring my silliness into it, as in telling the story, where he wanted it a little. But anyway, it didn't go. But I thought it was great. We definitely got footage, so at least
that's cool. I think everybody, we all went through the one-man show idea for a while. It was happening because the HBO had that little showcase theater with 50 seats, and everybody was working on there.
Yes.
And my agent at APA wanted me to do one, so I got with Bob Fisher at the Ice House, and that little side room. They had second rooms smaller, and I wrote this thing called Call When You Get Home.
Okay.
And it was about a divorced dad that has his kid for the summer.
Yes.
And my room, my prop staged was like a kid's bed, a toy box, and just a ton of toys all over the floor.
Okay.
And as I'm doing the play, I'm walking around picking up stuff.
Right.
And cleaning up the room and talking about how I had my son for the summer and it's always hard as a divorced dad when they go back. And as I'm picking up the stuff, I have a bit to go with each one, like pick up walkie-talkies.
And then I
always wanted walkie-talkies when I was a kid. And I was doing my own stand-up. It was the way I was working in and out.
That was
and then at the very end, I had a tape, they call and like, hey, Dad, I'm home. I made it safe. I'll let you know I love you. I'll see you next time. And that was kind of the end of the...
That was cute.
Yeah.
That was cute.
And it ran
like
for...
a sitcom,
it
right?
ran for... That's what everybody thought. You could actually see it. You could see the sitcom.
Right.
Again, you think, well, I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did wrong.
That's what we were all hoping, that the one man would deliver us, just like Domestic Goddess, Roseanne.
Right.
And,
Think like a producer come in and go, I see it.
Well, some things are just right there in front of you, and some of them, nobody wants to work. They want everything to be right there, and then they add their shit, which is not necessarily, like you said, that's not really how I want to.
Another vision I had for this.
That's the thing. In fact, you want me to change my name.
Yeah. I want to fail on my own.
Yeah.
If I'm going to fail, let it be that I did it. Don't let me feel like you sabotaged my career.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the same idea you want with a marriage. It's like, let's at least be a team with this together.
Yeah.
Whatever. If we, like they said, you're going to be humped or rather fucked in life, at least be fucked on your own terms.
Yeah.
If you can be. If we're going to do this together, honey, at least we're together on this, right?
Let's talk about how we're going to do the kid. We're together on how we're going to do it with the kids.
We're together on how we're going to happen,
So I think too many people now get together based on not compatibility, not like they don't date and find out, hey, we're both, Presbyterian or we're both Baptist, and we both agree that the children should be brought up this way, and we both agree that, they're like when they meet online and go, hey, you like to mountain bike? Me too.
Yeah. Well,
and that's it. They're like, we love to mountain bike.
Came into the picture,
and then 2 years later, they're like, I can't stand her. This guy's an idiot. Well, you didn't take time to actually do the checklist of dating.
But I mean, does anybody do that except for those that have failed? You
learn from your failures.
That you don't listen to your parents because your parents would screen everything. Like mine, we try to tell them, educate them on these are the pitfalls.
Yeah.
Because all you're talking about is your dick and pussy. It's the dick and pussy show that could create a baby. You don't want a baby, but here comes the baby.
Right.
You just want to enjoy each other, and then hopefully you start learning about each other.
And that's like the 16 from 25, that spot, that root right there, that learning area.
Yeah, that's, it's like, I don't know, but again, how did we learn? I mean, you had what? 12 marriages? How many?
12.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
I've had 3 bad ones and 1 fantastic one.
Yes, and I'm on my second one.
Oh.
My first one, I don't know. Did you want your first one to go? You wanted to?
Yeah, because I really thought it would. I was raised in the church, and we went to church together. My high school girlfriend,
Yeah.
And I was telling my brother this. I don't know how I managed it, but I had worked and bought a small piece of land and was having a small 2-bedroom house built.
Oh, that's real nice.
And this is by the time I'm in college. Because I was see, that's the thing. Kids don't work today, and that drives me crazy.
You were a worker.
Like, I'm a worker. I was doing 3 or 4 jobs. I mow some lawns. I got a truck. You mean to haul some junk? You mean to haul some junk for you?
No, that was
You know what I mean?
Great.
Yeah. And so I thought that's what you do. I was always raised,
Well, you were raised with, be strong and stand up on your own?
Yeah.
It seems like, that's great.
And when, looking at my parents had met when mom was 14 or whatever, and young, and dad went to war, and they came back, got married, been together for the rest of their life.
Right.
And I just assumed, hey, that must be how it works.
Well, you had that example. I mean, I too had a situation where, mom was there and dad was there, and, you respected, he was, no profanity, no one drank. Lived next door to grandparents, went to, the Presbyterian church and, love, I wanted, this marriage. I mean, we had everything. We had, we looked good. She was Catholic and just sweet and pretty and I had no idea because we didn't have kids for like 6 years. I cannot tell you to this day why we waited. What were we waiting for? I don't remember even having a conversation. We should have kids.
Well, you probably had the thing in your head that some people have. We should wait until we can afford them.
I don't know. We were, everything was happening. You was traveling on the road. My career was, things was happening. There's a pilot for this. Things.
Yeah.
But I don't know why that conversation, or did I block it off? Because surely some relative or somebody said, when y'all going to have kids or whatever? I don't.
Yeah. When you going to make me a grandma?
Yeah. So I don't know. It happens. I guess.
Yeah. Well, let's get the background. You're talking about your career because the people that don't know, they go like, now who is this Sinus guy?
Right.
It's Finis.
Yeah,
don't say Sinus. It's Finis.
From Chicago.
You're from Chicago.
Born and raised from a show business family. Dad was a song and dance man, and part of this is painted in the show that I even do now. But
which is a great show, by the way.
He was exposed because of him being a song and dance man. You know, in Chicago, he was all over the place, you know, dancing and doing things, and met people. Went to school with like he and Joe Williams, who was Joe Williams was this jazz singer that was famous. Nat King Cole. They went to school together. He just knew a lot of people, and then his affiliation with Sammy some years later, you know, they clicked to the point where, you know, like he was my godfather. People like George Kirby, Nipsey Russell.
And when you say Sammy, you mean Sammy Davis Jr.
Right, because my dad eventually was vice president of Sammy Davis Enterprise. So pretty much his exposure and taking me around, or people coming over to the house, Sammy is at the house, or, you know, bringing my bread and jumping rope with my sister. Down the street from the house, they're filming Raisin in the Sun with Sidney Poitier. And, things like this was happening. Yeah. And this was back in the 50s.
Yeah.
You know, I mean.
It's kind of like what you and I were saying today. We might not be famous, but we know famous people.
Well, you didn't know who they were. They just seemed like an exciting world. You know, just seemed an exciting world. And they would take you, and these people seem exciting. So his exposure obviously exposed me, but not to the point where he was like pushing me as like, you know, I see he's got the talent and I'm gonna, you know, like a father coach, you know, thing. My mother was the catalyst. She was the, you know, like, can't you hear that he has, you know, he
got perfect pitch.
Yes, he can sing. You can hear the melody. You know, he was. So she was pretty much the one that was doing it. So what had happened was that eventually I started singing around the area with a little group, into another group, into a big band, and then forming my own band, to make a long thing short, a group called Weapons of Peace.
Such a 70s
in
name.
The 70s, right. And from that, we made a record with Playboy because of Dad's connections, Playboy Records. And from that, you know, disco came in, and then it was all about the DJs. Kind of like how it came again with the, you know,
they push a button
and all these other. Exactly. So, and then it eventually came where, like, you know, I think I need to, this is not going like I hoped. And Mom is like, you need to go to California, be with your uncle, you know, who's making movies and who sang with Count Basie and Oscar Brown, Oscar Peterson, pianist. So I moved to California with a hope and a prayer. And just to make I was there not long before I went and auditioned at the Comedy Store. And, you know, Mitzi saw me that first night and told me to come back, and I died when I came back.
You died the second time?
Oh, well, I wasn't that polished or nothing. But anyway, she saw something enough to, like, come on back, you know.
Yeah.
So when I came back, it didn't work, but they had this improvisational thing you could do like every Tuesday. So I would be working in the Valley, live with my uncle, and then I would come on Tuesdays. So it just evolved until it became, you know, just started getting rhythm and doing a little singing at the Skippy Lowe's singing showcase. And then Mitzi had the Belly Room at the time. You could sing up there. So I was trying to
Were you doing the impressions? Were you doing the impressions?
No, I was
just songs? Just singing at that time.
But when I got on stage at the Comedy Store, I was doing something. I was doing some voices, but I never thought of myself as an impressionist. You know, I was just, you know, a character. I don't know, you know. But she saw something, and
what if you did?
Yeah.
And the shark was giving you suggestions.
Yeah, exactly.
What if you?
Right. But pretty much the thing was that doing the improv stuff with her little groups, that as you became better, she would name it. You know, she named us Strudel, and in Strudel was myself, Howie Gold, Dice was in it, Tom Wilson, Back in the Future, and somebody else. Was it Howie Gold? I think I remember Howie Gold. Anyway, from there, and then just, you know, time passed. you know, we're working in Westwood or doing here, and all these people are starting to come in.
Yeah.
You know, Roseanne's coming in, Louis, Arsenio, Damon, Jim Carrey, everybody, Sam Kinison, you know, slowly, not all at once, but they're coming in because everybody thought they missed the.
It was that early '80s thing.
Yeah, they thought they missed it because it was, you know, all this action before that suicide jump and all the drama that was before then.
Yeah, for you guys that don't know, there was a
with improv.
The improv and the Comedy Store had this thing where you couldn't work both
Hatfields and McCoys.
Hatfield, yeah, and there was a whole big kind of protest.
Over the pay or something.
Yeah,
like
we're not
that.
performing. We're not doing it for anybody. And then one comic committed suicide because it was like too much.
Yeah, but he obviously had some issues. You know,
yeah, I remember reading that story.
Yeah,
because I had just started stand up in Houston when that happened, and I was like, "Ooh, is that a life I'm looking into getting into? This kind of life of depression."
Yeah, it was. I don't know. It was crazy. But. Because I had gone, I think we were talking about this the other night. I had gone over to the Improv to see about going on there, and I actually ran into Mr. Improv, Bud Friedman, and he just kind of, you know, he was like kind of rude, you know. And I went over to the Comedy Store, and they, you know, sign up, and it just clicked, you know, whatever. So in time. Time had passed, and I had been singing, and you know, and then Richard's Pryor becomes, you know, gets into the fire, and as he's healing and time had passed, he decides he wants to come back and work on some material to do his next, you know, project.
Yeah,
and that's when he and I came together because everyone was coming to the store to see him, and then. All the stars would be hanging out after hours. Mitsu, the place would close, and they'd all be in the main room just hanging and talking and doing all kinds of stuff, you know. And I always had my music with me, and the piano player's there. So this particular night, Richard's there, and it was like Burt Reynolds, Sally Field, Lady Di. Who else? David Tyree, Sally Fields.
All of them are hanging out?
Yeah, and Willie Nelson's got the guitar, because I had a picture that David sent me, because my back was to the camera, but you can see everybody. And I had, they were talking, you know, and everything, and I saw the piano player, so I told him, you start playing something. That's a place something. I'll get my music, and you know, so quietly we're playing, and because they were into their own world.
Kind of like black background.
Yeah. So I started singing everything. So about what happened, Richard like, hey, give him a mic, and come. So okay, so they put the mic up on the stage, and I got up on stage and started singing, and then doing some shtick. Next thing you know, Richard comes on, and Robin Williams come on, and we start doing some improvisational stuff, and it just. People were going crazy. It was that magic thing that happened. And then after all that had died down and talking and chit chat, Richard said, like, let's go, hey, let's all go over to the Hyatt House. Okay. So I think about 25 people, you know, like, cause some of the regulars had filtrated in, you know, after the big stars had left. And so we go next door, he gets 2 rooms, and we all go up into the room. And nobody knows where he is. Everybody's in this room, like, you know, yeah. And somebody comes and gets me and take me over where Richard and Robin are, you know. So they sit and, oh man, you're so talented. And I'm like in awe of this, that they're like.
That they noticed.
Oh my goodness, you know. And so we're just chit-chatting, and next thing you know, we're.
Oh yeah,
Robin
doing the thing,
and we're like in the washroom doing the thing. And anyway, that was the initial night. Nights proceeded, and you know, he would be there, and then he would come upstairs to hear me sing. And anyway, we got together and clicked, and he was digging it.
Kind of wanting to help you a little bit.
Well, I didn't know until. We were just grooving, you know, every night, you know, just clowning and doing stuff. Belushi would come in, and fall out. I can remember him coming through the hall. He said, "Is Richard in there?" "Yeah, okay." So he took had a whole thing of pills, put it in his mouth, and ran in there and just fell out like just clowning.
Yeah.
So it was just crazy every night, I get a phone call from Paul Mooney. Paul Mooney says, "Are you standing up? Sit down. Richard wants you to be his opening act for Live on the Sunset Strip." So that started the ball rolling. So that started it. So once I got that, we did 3 nights in San Francisco, getting everything ready to come down to do it at the film at the Palladium. And after that show, the 2 nights, the second night, I got approached by Solar Records and Motown Records. And I eventually went with Motown.
Of course.
And did an album, because my father knew Suzanne de Passé, who was there with Stevie Wonder that night as well. And so that was that famous "the right place, right time," place type thing. And that was, you got many stories.
My right place, right time story.
Right.
I have one that's like definite. I had moved to L.A. and I wasn't on the lineup, but I thought I'm going to go hang out at the Improv. So I went down to the Improv, and I'm just hanging, and I get hey, one of the guys didn't show up. Do you want to go up? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm here. Yeah. Why not? Yeah. I come off stage and this lady comes running up to me. You were great. I loved your stuff. We're looking for an opening act for Dolly Parton. Here's my card. If you're if I'm interested, I'll be calling you tomorrow. And had I not been there, had he not showed up,
the stars were aligned.
Yeah, yes. whatever reason that I was supposed to be there that night. That's the one real my right place, right time.
Yeah, where it clicked.
Yeah. We talked before about how things get really close. How you have great meetings, or you get a call from somebody, or you sign with a manager, and you think, this is the star maker.
Right.
I guess just not for me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that hurts us, but it makes us strong too. I guess, there's no other way to turn. You have to, deal with it. It's the business.
Like one of my first managers when I got to L.A. and signed up his name was Herb Nanis. And Herb produced 2 Days in the Valley, the movie. He was Sty Stallone's manager. Okay. He had been Roseanne Barr's manager early on. Okay. So I'm thinking, that's a pretty good client list. Right. I'm happy to do this.
Yeah, he's got some.
And he's doing these movies, and I'm like, can I get a part in one of these? Can I get an extra? Something. Can I get a walk? I got bigger plans for you, kid. I have bigger plans. I was like, hey, any plan at this point.
It would be great.
And then
as we're working on the big plan,
you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, you got these movies. Yeah. Don't you have a place where I can just go pick up some suitcase and go, here's your room.
Yeah, right.
One of those kind of
something. Let me get a Taft-Hartley so I can be a SAG member.
Right. But I did that for like a year, and we split ways because this isn't working, and
When am I actually going to do something?
Yeah.
I was on tour with Rodney. Dice had been talking to Rodney about, I guess at this point he wanted another opening act or whatever. Anyway, so Dice had kind of paved the way for me. And so anyway, I ended up doing touring with Rodney, and that was where I ended up meeting, because I was at Catch a Rising Star, and we were in what was it, Westbury. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, I come in town, and somebody had seen me at the show, a representative from Global Entertainment, and that's how I ended up meeting my manager, and it clicked for many years. He was Mr. Corporate Connections, and the money started.
The money's always.
The money is just like, oh shit, this is what?
They want me to do what?
Oh my goodness, which pulled me away from even though I would still go to auditions and stuff, and but the money had me traveling more, and
you were missing the auditions.
Yeah, I was not. Yeah, because I was signed by Seth Vaneri for voiceovers and everything. So I had all the just keep going. Yeah, just keep going to auditions and just keep. But I just started shifting over to where the money was in the travel.
Yeah, and then they call you, can you be for an audition tomorrow in L.A.? You're like, nope, I'm in Chicago making $10,000.
A couple times, you could do it, but then it's like the money was making, and, whereas some guys didn't do the travel and just stayed in LA and just kept going, for the parts, because I was going for the parts, and then I got that second win when Aaron Spelling was interested, and that looked like, oh my God, this is going to be good. Who? Aaron Spelling, And
again, Star Maker. Every show on TV at one point was an Aaron Spelling.
And that's what, but that didn't happen. That was one of those, another one that got so close. Like you said, it just didn't quite get off the ground.
Yeah.
But we were coming down the runway.
Oh, it felt good.
Could not get no altitude.
Yeah. Heck, is throttle back. Okay.
Oh shit! The close encounters of the unknown kind. That's show business. That's the business.
Yeah. Now, do you want any of your kids doing what you do? Have you got pushing?
No, I mean at this point, Megan can sing and she does background with me. When I can get her. If I have a part. And she's done some stuff that I use. The most recent song that I wrote called "One Day," which is like on. We were trying to promote it. I think it's only on YouTube at this point. But I hadn't written in years, and this came up with a friend that wrote with me when I did the Motown. And so she sang on that one. But no, Cody and Shane, and no, they don't. Cody for a minute made a video rapping, but no, it's they're not. I said you got me as an example, and I'm telling you, like you're not showing me enough. You're not fighting for it.
Yeah.
You want to buy this equipment for you. Listen, I got some equipment that will give you the same thing. You don't have to have something fancy. If you got a melody and you need a
soundboard here. We
can make it happen. You don't have to have all this fancy shit. But no, nothing came, and she's just doing her thing as hopefully she'll continue schooling and get her little hygienist thing. And I don't know what the boys are going to do. They're in their 20s. I don't know, So, no, I don't know. You have one.
I have one son.
Is he anywhere in
the
world of show business?
No. He came close. I had him on the podcast a couple of times. We did a father-son, and we thought that might be fun, but that really didn't take off as much. And then he went to broadcasting school.
Okay.
He was going to go, since I had been a radio DJ, right. And he thought, well, he wanted to be a sports producer, is what I understood.
Okay.
He wants to learn the business so he could be a sports radio producer.
Right.
But he didn't like the on-air stuff they were making him do in school. Where he had to pretend to be a host. And so he dropped out of that.
Yeah.
Because part of it isn't what he wanted to do. Well, Isn't that what life is all about?
You got to go along with the program. You got to,
You know what I mean? You got to do all of it to get to a certain point.
Yes, it may not be, but then again, that shows if you're serious, because that truly divides, the.
Yeah, like you said, show me that you're serious.
Yeah,
complete that course, and maybe we'll do something else.
Because. And that could not be a better example for any of our children if they, in some cases, you're able to depends on how big you are at the time.
Yeah.
Where you can just make some stuff and nepotism gets in there, and, some of the ways are paved for your children,
like every bit of show business almost anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at some of the stuff, I'm like, Julia Louis-Dreyfus is like the granddaughter of some rich, famous guy.
Yeah.
Everybody is the son or the daughter, or the Nick Cage is the nephew of, Coppola.
Yeah.
It's like is everybody, you look at the new show Yellowstone, the girl in there is the daughter of Michael Landon.
Well, I mean, I felt that because when I had the band in Chicago, hey, your father, everybody knew him like at the Musicians Union because of the years of from Miles Davis, he would take me to see Miles Davis, Count Basie, all these, they knew it. So when I finally had my band, and the days where the union man would come to the gig, do you pay your dues?
Yeah.
I used to get angry with my father because can you do something? Well, he was able to get me because of the people knew my dad. This club called the Pumpkin Room was the first club that the band my band played it, and that was like our home.
Yeah.
You know, it became our home where we developed and everything. So he helped in that way indirectly, you know, because I mean they wouldn't hire us just because it's Finis the Son. You still like, hey,
Like,
you got,
show 'em what you can do.
a little sound, yeah, you know, and they're hiring people, and eventually with the Playboy, you know, he helped, but there was a period where I was like, you know, can you do something, you know, with all your connections, you know?
You played the actual Playboy clubs.
No, I didn't do the clubs.
You didn't do the clubs?
My father did booked acts at the club.
Oh, okay.
He did, you know, and he, you know, was because of Sammy, he was, and the connection that he had with Hefner, because Hefner was impressed that, you know, like when Sammy did Playboy After Dark, you know, there's footage now, you know, my father standing on the side with George Rhodes, Sammy's conductor, and because of the situation with Sammy marrying Mai Britt, the Swedish actress, and my father was in that clique with you know, Sammy and Peter Lawford and
the Rat Pack.
Dean, the Rat Pack, that when the time came, the connection with Hefner came because my father ended up taking Hefner to John F. Kennedy's inaugural ball as his guest, because the tickets, Sammy wasn't like, there was an issue about the Southern voters, and Joseph Kennedy didn't want Sammy at the event because it was being publicized. But even though Harry Belafonte was black, he was married to a white woman as well. But there was something that they didn't like about that, you know, with Sammy. So Sammy wasn't invited to perform, and so Peter Lawford, the invites gave it to my father.
Yeah.
So since he and Hefner had been doing something, anyway, Hefner went with my father, with Victor Lowndes and my mother. So years later, that kind of paved the way for Playboy Records, you know. But no, we never played the club. We did play, you know, the ballroom at the downtown. You know, we were able to get some good publicity, but nothing really came of it, you know, other than, you know, some Playboy bunnies. But that was...
That wasn't your first wife, was it?
No. Yeah, no, that was my first girlfriend, became a bunny. She wasn't a bunny when we first met, but yeah. But that was in, you know...
That's back in the day.
Yeah.
That's old school. Which brings us up to now, which basically is the point of this podcast. Remasculate.
Yes.
Because you and I, we're old enough to look back and go, remember when kids, we used to go outside and play in the street?
Yes.
Remember when you used to just pick up a rock and hit it with a stick, and that was...
Damn, was it that? Was it horse-drawn carriages? What are you talking about, man?
Remember rolling that little wheel down the street with the stick?
No, but you don't remember marbles and
jacks and cap guns.
Root the pig.
And hearing things from your dad like, you know, put that down, you're going to blow a thumb off.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No.
So what do you see happening today? How do you view of what's happening, and how would you change it in some way? Would you say, dads, start doing this again? You know, because there's a reason it's getting softer and softer.
As far as, like, you mean the sternness that is needed to guide the children?
Yeah, because I posted on Twitter today, I think most social justice warriors didn't have a daddy in the house to actually slap them and say, stop your whining.
Well, that was an issue, you know, very prevalent in black families. Not that it didn't happen in white families, but as far as like the missing link, the father not present. In my case, my father was there, but I think that, you know, it comes from an intact, hopefully stable family, if you can, which is not something that happens, you know, because there's alcoholism, there's mental issues. People just don't always stay together, you know, the broken family, creates broken kids, and
you always hear kids are so resilient.
But sometimes you got a strong mother, it's like, because all the stories are plentiful of the father's not there, but the mother's so fucking strong, and
or grandma is the one.
Or somebody's in there that's really, helping guide them, and then again, there's that inner wiring that we all have that sometimes we don't know where it comes from, but it's like somebody, it's like, I don't know what it is, but she just gets numbers. She just, has always been good at math.
Yeah.
He's always just got it.
He picked up the guitar, started
innate.
playing, have no idea why.
Yeah, just some of it's, but it'd be great. That's what I wanted. Like my marriage, I didn't want a divorce. I wanted it to be Camelot. I wanted to, have all the nice things, but then life is a motherfucker. Life isn't always fair as you want it, but as they say, only the strong survive. I mean, so God bless the kids that can have a parent, that can guide. And I'm trying to, like we've talked, I try to guide mine to whatever you do. I want you to be a decent human being and be respectful and be fair. And don't be a liar. My father was a man of truth.
That was mine too. A handshake is your contract.
Yeah, exactly.
Your word is your word.
Exactly. And that's how I feel. And I try to convey that even to my knucklehead stepsons that are fucked.
if they hear this.
Not that mine are perfect, but they're just not on that track like these two. These two are just, it's like, this is prison, the baby behavior, what you doing. Mine are just stupid. This shit you doing is like you going to jail.
Oh, yeah.
Your shit, you need to stop doing that.
Yeah.
Calm down. What's wrong? Take this, please. But
jail always scared me. It doesn't seem to scare. It doesn't seem to scare today's kids as much. But for me, I've seen prison movies and the sound of the jail cell.
I don't know. I don't think any of them like it. I don't think nobody wants to go there. I mean, I got put in jail when I was little, but it was like stealing, little silly stuff, Some of it was, one time, I remember they put me in jail for something that I don't really want to talk about, but the thing was, it wasn't right, it was fighting with, it wasn't right. But anyway, I thought my dad was going to take me home. And when he came to get me, he said, what do you want to do with him? He said, keep him.
Daddy.
So I had to spend the night in the Audi home. Oh. And I was like, what the fuck? I remember going home in the paddy wagon going to the place.
Going to jail.
And I said, what is this? Oh, shit, you don't know what's going to happen, and it's...
I've heard stories.
Oh, my God.
I'm pretty.
I went in there, and actually there was a couple guys that knew me from the area, so that was okay, but the guards were like, people were talking, they'd throw a can at you, and then it was time to all right, line up. And it's time to go to bed.
Yeah.
And then you got to be inspected, so they want to, lift your shirt, take your pants down, open your cheeks, open your mouth. I said, dude, you should feel through your fro. I said, what the fuck? And then you get up to the stairs. I mean, because this was just one night, but that was enough for me.
Yeah.
All right, let's take them all off. So you had to take your clothes off. Well, my God, the funk. The funk was just overwhelming because the guards, I can remember coming through with a cloth in his mouth, trying, then they give you a little sheet to put on. And so it's like 3 in the bunk room. It was horrible. And so we were assigned to the room, and then this guy, in the room, I was like, all right, lights out, But this one kid is running his fucking mouth and joking something, and the guard coming, all right, everybody up. And made us stand up for an hour. So
you learned your lesson? Yeah.
Well, when we went back to bed, one of the guys in there was, pissed off at the guy that made us stand up.
Yeah.
And he was bunked over the guy that did the shit. So once the door closed, I was sitting right across, right? He leaned over and stomped this motherfucker in the face, and he said, if you make one noise, and that was the end of that night. And I went home because I had Sammy Davis's lawyer as my lawyer. And it was some Mickey Mouse shit, But that was enough as far as
that was
jail.
Your scared straight moment?
No, I didn't need it, no, But I wasn't like that. I wouldn't designed like that anyway.
Yeah,
but
well, we all got in some kind of trouble. I as a little kid, I remember, and I guess the word is stealing, shoplifting. You know, I didn't think about it being stealing as a kid, but you know, it was a stupid thing. It was like these stickers that you could stick on your body or on anything, and if you shot it with a water pistol, it looked like it bled. Once it got wet, it looked like it bled. And I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And my mom and dad made me go back and look at the man and say, I stole this.
Yes.
Like, I need to go to jail if that's what you...
Yes.
You know, it was one of the... Just scared and crying and, you know... And that was as close as I, you know. But my dad always said, if you go to jail, I will not get you out. You know right from wrong. You know, your grandfather's a policeman. You know these things. Like, yes, sir. So I always had that fear. Like, that's one of the reasons when in the days when people were doing like, let's get high and go do putt-putt. I'm like, no, I could go to jail. I don't want to go to jail. I mean, that really scared me away from doing things that a lot of kids were doing. You know.
Well, yeah, that would definitely, again, you know, the parenting and the fear, because you know, my father didn't fear anybody. He was one of those guys. He wasn't a big man, but he just had that thing with nobody would, you know. Yeah.
With his word, his word to you. Because that's one of the things that I see lacking today that I've talked about, is that if my dad said it, he meant it.
Right.
You know, and if I say, go to your room and don't come out until I come to get you.
No, there was no.
Don't come out until I come to get you. Where some people will see a kid, oh, but did you learn your lesson? You know, I'd be like, get back in that room.
Yeah. I wish I had some. I do have some of my dad in me, but not like he.
Well, I had that in me. I mean, I had that, and one of the things that is your word has to be it. The kid has to know that. And one day, my son and a friend who was spending the night with him, they were going to go to a movie. I was going to take them to a movie later, and they had done something. I can't remember what it was at the time.
Something sexual?
No. Thank God. Oh God. But they had, like, my son had pissed me off and whatever. I was like, get in your room, you know. And I hear the other kid go, is your dad still going to take us to the movie? And my son goes, yeah, because he said he was.
Right.
In his head, he still knew I had not told him he wasn't going.
Right.
So in his head, he's still like, well, Dad said, he hadn't told me no yet.
Right.
So but that's what I want kids. I think kids should know that when you say it,
your word is your bond.
Mean it. You know.
Yeah. And that hurts when you get into the real world and realize that everyone is not your dad, and being truthful and seeing things through. You know. Like,
you learned that first few days in L.A. when you're like, hey, meet me at the Hamburger Hamlet at noon. Yeah. And then at 12:05 you get a call. Hey, something came up. We're going to have to move this meeting. You learn a lot of stuff that's not right. You're sitting there talking to, and they're looking over your shoulder the entire time. Like, who else should I be talking to besides you?
Exactly. And that you learn that from girls as well. You know, like you know, they'll, especially if you start going to Hollywood parties and things. You learn to, hopefully you don't get so mistrusting because of being beat up so much with lies and bullshit, that you can still focus and recognize, because you have to play that chess game of life where you can, you know, understand, you know, this is the, you know, you get it, you know, not just stupid, naive, and just.
You got to bob and weave.
You get a little bit, you know, but don't fall down all the time. Come on now, you can stand up and make it through this obstacle somewhat, you know.
Well, how did we get where now we're just offended by everything? How would you and I would never made it anywhere?
I think it's you know, it's a culmination of the rights of others being respected, where there was this just certain way things were done, and then I mean, it's the rights of just human beings, I think, have just accelerated to the point where it's just ridiculous. I mean, we can start with just man and woman, and with the appeal, the freedom of the women, and women becoming strong where they wouldn't take no shit. You get to the point where each race wants to have their own SAG Awards, or everybody wants to be recognized.
Right. Well, they got it. Why shouldn't we have it? If that group got it, I should have
especially
it.
on the black and white thing. I mean, it's like, well, why we have the Oscars? Why do they have to have, the
BET Awards?
Yeah, right. Because they weren't giving us a show. So everybody wants to be recognized, and everybody wants to. But it gets extreme, especially just like with Andrew Dice when he went down on the gays. It came to a point where it wasn't funny anymore. To joke about
there in the
gay
80s
people.
when he did the whole
where they banned him off of MTV. And so it gets to a point where it just gets that extreme. That was a point where folks come out of the closet, and how really horrible it is for the life of somebody that's gay, that it's not like, they're just tired of being the pun of all jokes, just like with any nationality. The Asians, everybody wants to be respected. So I guess everybody has to come out to maybe 20 more years, it'll soften up where everybody's
20 more years?
No, I don't know.
We'll be gone.
But I think everybody was so sensitive about.
But you and I have been around long enough, again, where I was raised where in the 60s, and it was the little bit of turmoil, and then the 70s come along, and I think it was a whole great, we're all soul training, we're all learning the same day, we like the same bands and music, and Pam Grier was one of the hottest things in movies, and it seems like there's more of a division now. Like they want a division. All groups, like you said, all groups. You're like, what happened? I thought we were all getting along in the 80s.
It seems like it's like right there in front of us that the issues are just. It's crazy. I don't know what exactly happened, but I mean just progress and people everybody wants their own space and everybody wants to be respected. And really with the surging of comedy, that has freed up a lot to the extreme where, we're being subject to conversation, as far as like, but you could get away with, you can say anything. That point with Richard Pryor or, before Richard, what was his name?
Lenny Bruce.
Lenny Bruce, these things that no one ever said or talked about, put in public.
Which is what we were supposed to do as comics. You were the ones that shine lights on things.
Right.
Or critique things.
Well, it did reach that point like the 80s when, in the 90s. But again, I guess after AIDS and then the whole thing I think the gay thing was the real first big catalyst to start making people, being sensitive.
A little sensitive to something.
And then of course the 9/11 and then, all the Muslims, and it's like, all the Muslims aren't bad. This is a religion. This is, but the connotations of.
And why are you making fun of the 7-Eleven guy again? Not all Muslims are 7-Eleven workers.
Yeah.
Why do you, then you can start getting all that kind of.
And this is a melting pot. The United States, everybody's here. So everybody,
But I think as a group, we could all laugh about stuff together. We laughed at our own, if somebody called me a cracker, you're like, whatever, and now be like, how dare you? I'll post on social media. You called me,
Right. Well, I think it's a mixture of.
Because we could all, any comic those days.
We just can't clown with everybody.
We can't,
especially if you come to a comedy store, you obviously know that,
it's a comedy club,
or how they try to paint the picture here on the cruise ships that this is adult humor. If you're, your skin is thin and this
may not be for you.
So just go. You know, we're going to talk about whatever.
Yeah.
So, and people want to hear it.
Yeah. Like those people we ran into last night when you said, now remember the adult show. Oh, we adult.
Right.
Oh, we adult.
Right.
And that's what they were wanting more of that than the regular,
Yeah, it's crazy, but I think the comedy clubs have definitely helped to soften, where people are going to hear stuff, but yet they're still messing with, subject matter. It is still sticky, now, especially for the politicians, but under the auspices of comedy, it's a little more give.
Yeah, it should be.
But when it comes to stuff, that these knuckleheads are saying on the news, they're getting erased or fired or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think
like
that's
Chappelle.
good. Yeah. Well, Chappelle.
What do you think? Did you see Chappelle's?
I didn't see it. I read a little bit about it, what he was talking about, but what was Damon Wayans was mentioning something about that he's like kind of like breaking the ice.
Oh, I saw that. Or freed the slaves.
Yeah,
that's what Damon said. Yeah, he freed. When it comes to comedy, he freed the slaves.
He's what's the guy's name from John Brown?
Yeah, John Brown. Yeah, John Brown's body.
But John was white. But anyway, I don't know. It's just a touchy area. I know that I had periods when I was doing comedy or doing the clubs. I would talk shit and I just got to the point where it just wasn't my type of act, because I was using the expletives and I didn't need to. My act was, Mitch used to always tell me, you're more classy than that. You don't have to do that,
And then the more corporate work comes with
corporate
that.
work, depends on what avenue you want to go down. Because Eddie Griffin, I remember having a conversation with Mitzi and some other people. She was talking to Eddie because he was on the door, but he was just cussing up a storm. He eventually went out on the road with Dice, but I mean that's his thing. She didn't know at the time that just was, evolving into just, how...
That wasn't her thing.
No,
but the people were liking it.
Yeah. But it hadn't reached that level where it was just going crazy. Because Dice, with his thing, was, he had that shock kind of thing. Sam had that kind of, shock laced with a little religious stuff, places that you normally didn't go.
Jesus, when you coming back?
Yeah.
When I can use my hand as a whistle. Those kind of, yeah.
But people, like shock comedy, real shit, just like, ooh, he said that.
Yeah,
ooh, shit. He said something about your mother. That's soft,
And that was for a while, that was a whole thing of, what they call those jokes? There was a thing about calling those jokes. Remember, your mama's so fat.
Yeah.
There was a term for that.
Yeah.
Your mama's so stupid. Your mama's so big. Your
right.
mama's so...
I forgot what they called it. The dozens? No.
It was something like that. But they have battles, like rap battles.
Right. I remember, because George Wallace used to mention something about that. Yeah.
Your mama's so stupid she tripped over a cordless phone. That kind of.
No, that's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, there's so many different avenues to go. Hey, what is that?
Oh, a timer.
No, I don't know. That was trying to see. When happy time, but I don't.
So. So what would you if you were
have
a
I said anything that was clarified? No, clarity. I don't know. I'm all over the place.
You have. We have been all over the place, but that's what we do on this podcast.
I don't know if I should ever have one.
Shoot.
What were you talking about?
What?
Exactly what was being said.
What was being said? Oh, I was going to ask you, what would you change if you were a politician today? What would you do that would be like, all right, this is my proclamation. I think this needs to change. What would you do to try to make things a little bit better today?
Jesus. That's a mouthful. What could I do?
If it was President,
it would be better.
If it was President Finis.
Yeah. If I could actually, I don't know if you can turn it into like wishes and you can actually make it happen. If I could actually make it happen, what would I do to try to make life better for
America?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it would definitely help if we could get along. That would
help.
How to get along with your neighbor and live happily ever after. That's never going to happen.
So it would go from make America great again to can we all just get along?
Hey, there was some things that I liked about that Trump had, and there's some things that I liked Biden. So what I could do, if I had to. That's a hard one, man.
It sounds like you'd be more in the middle.
I would.
From talking to you, you've got like a little of both sides.
I understand about the wall, you know, and, you know, from my wife being a nurse and, you know, the folks that come through there, the different folks that have no coverage and just different, you know, I don't know how to even answer that other than, yeah, I would like everybody to get along. Well, how do you do that?
How do you do that?
That's mission impossible.
What about you're talking about the wall? What about if you stop people that were coming in that would take other people's jobs?
Yeah, I would.
Because a lot of people always go, sense. What about the, you know, minorities like Hispanics and stuff like that? They're the ones that'll be losing jobs because a new bunch is going to go, well, I'll cut your yard for $10 cheaper.
Yeah, but the thing is like there's so many areas. Which one do you try to?
Which one do you fix?
I don't know.
Without pissing somebody else off.
Yeah, you just like, well, so much shit that needs to be done. Give everybody make sure that everybody can make at least $50,000. You know, I mean, bring up the minimum wage a little more. I don't know.
Oh, now you're talking communism.
I mean, help the felons. You know, the kids that have got these felony, because I've got two.
Not you. You don't have them. No, you have two knuckleheads.
I have two knuckleheads that, you know, and that would be great because a lot of so much shit, man. I don't know, Steve.
Yeah.
What could you do? What would your? I'm throwing it back at you. I don't know what the fuck.
I would, and I would make America, to me, America like I grew up in. And people go, what do you mean when people couldn't? And no, that's not it at all. But we had more patriotism. We respected our elders. You know, I'm more about keeping some laws and bringing back some things.
Well, what you want is a time machine to take us back to a place that you knew of as a tranquil area.
But I want to use that blueprint in more modern times.
Yes,
not going back.
Right. Not going back to like, it wasn't good for the brothers.
Well, yeah,
but yeah, you want it to be like you say. I wish I could go back in time and be young again with this knowledge I have now.
Kind of like that.
Yeah,
I would be like, okay, now in school we will teach some respect and patriotism. Yeah. Your homework will be turned in.
Right.
You don't get you're not going to be graded on a curve here. Yeah. I'm not. You know. That's what I'm saying.
That harmony after World War II, when they were coming back after we won the war,
proud,
and everybody was, you know, and could have been respectful.
Yeah.
To all God's children.
Right.
Yeah, I could go.
Can you see that? Look at that whole attitude of love each other. You know, it's all
with a modern twist of not being so, you know, with the racial thing. That's because.
But see, I've never. It's me. People always. Because I'm Southern, they always assume, oh, you must. No, yeah. I'm a big fan. I've always have been. Is like we should all get along.
Right.
That's what I've always been like.
Well, if you were raised that way, I mean, in my home,
white mom, black dad.
Yeah.
You know, what did you? Did you ever have that thing where which one am I supposed to be or what?
No, well, I was raised in a black area on the South Side, so I was the one they would call white boy. You know, but so you either had to be funny or fighting all the time. But you know, if you grew up with these people, you know, you grew up together. So it wasn't like you just walked in on a different area. I never really had to be subject with any crazy racial stuff. My father would, things that I might have gotten away with because they didn't even know if I was black as I got older.
Right.
But, living in the south side of Chicago, you just, there was Black John, there was Yellow Sonny, there was just different, nicknames for the way folks looked. But I didn't have that issue. I remember I was nervous. The first kind of little encounter I ever had, I went to a Presbyterian camp or something one time. I never ran into any racial stuff other than that one time when we were standing in line and one kid said, "You're going to let the Negroes go first," because we were in front of him. And we kind of like laughed like, what the, wow. We laughed, but it was like, we're going to get him. But nothing happened. But
maybe they were just being nice, like, go first.
No, it wasn't. Let the Negroes go first.
I didn't hear what you said. I thought you meant let's
standing in line to eat or something like that.
Oh, my bad. My bad.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
That was my first encounter of like really something.
Because I thought they were just being like, just let, let them go first. That
was like, you gonna let them go first?
Oh, that's different. That's different big time.
Yeah. So, but I never really had too much, in that area as like my first marriage was, my wife was Irish and white, and her parents were concerned, well, I hope the children, won't have any issues, but they never really had, even though, because we lived in Yorba Linda, we had everything. We didn't, and we didn't run into really any issues that I think her parents thought, what we would be subject to.
Kind of like what they're talking about in England right now with Meghan Markle. What do you think the baby will be?
I used to say that about when I married my first wife. I said, well, you guys are acting like that with me. What would you have been like if she'd have came in with somebody that was like darker and all that you depict or think of a brother being? Hey, y'all! you gonna act like that with me? That's terrible,
Well, I have to admit, this is a weird point, but when we were walking in Galveston the other day, there was the group of
when we passed the brothers,
the biker brothers.
Well, yeah.
There was a split because you turned and just started talking to him, and I thought, I hope they know he's black. That's for a split second.
See,
because you went right to him like, brother, what's happening?
Yes.
What's going on?
Yeah.
And they're like these big bikers.
They're all big.
They're all big. And I'm like, man, I hope he... So you kind of knew. You've kind of felt it too, maybe. Well, I thought, those guys are massive. And you're like, what's happening?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't bringing anything that was negative to him.
No, not at all.
I wasn't marching in front of him with a Trump flag or nothing, whatever would piss somebody off. That's another story. But anyway, a politician, what would I do? I don't know, Steve. What would be to have maybe, I don't know. Yeah.
Think
like
of the
you said, if we can bring him back.
Bring it together. Look at the cruise ship. For us, when we walk around the cruise ship, everybody is totally getting along. Every group is
even if it's that they know how to conduct themselves. If that could happen,
you know what I mean? This is the perfect.
Would be the most.
Like the petri dish of getting along.
I think
like
that would
being polite. No, you go on the elevator. We're all like this. It's an amazing little.
I think that has definitely, the cruise industry is probably the only most modern little solution or an example of that, and I'm sure they've had some incidents, but for the most part, even though, they'll stay to themselves, but all God's children will be on the ship as they are.
Yeah, and we're all getting along. Like last night, we all had a reggae band.
Asians, Mexicans, Polynesians, white, Russians, European, everything.
And I think part of that is, like I was saying earlier, when you lay down the law, the law, it's equal. Yeah. The law is equal. It's not like, okay, it's not happening, you're not going to jail, or aren't you? Okay, we'll let you go.
No, there's
like,
the key. The law had been, if they had followed some of the rules of the, all guys or people are created equal. If they had followed that rule, if they had followed the rule with the Emancipation Proclamation, with the 40 acres, if you'd given everybody something. Instead of, after they assassinated Lincoln and Knucklehead took over and reversed so many, you're going to give the Japanese money and then you're not going to, please.
Oh, please. We're all surprised by what we find out on the news these days. Like, China owns this, they own that, they're paying off. Oh, he has a when you start seeing all these now, like connections to such and such, but he's not going to, he was connected to a Republican senator who's definitely not going to say something because he don't want to be taken down. Right. It's a ugly game of dominoes up there, and nobody wants to be the one to flick that first one and go, we knocked them all down.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's crazy. What will be the next big turning point in society?
What do you predict, or what do you see?
Well, I'd like the aliens to show up and maybe just put a real ringer in
fear of God.
Just something, if God, like truly, we're all praying God. If
show me something,
maybe not even Jesus, but if God Himself, could, like the day the Earth stood still, like something happened where everybody knows other than COVID. Yeah, it's like we need something that's positive, like COVID, where it takes over the whole world.
Yeah.
but it's something like a new consciousness hits, or like some kind of dust filtrates. Instead of COVID, it's this new disease that's in the air.
And
makes
enlightening.
everyone nice and gets along.
That's
disease.
called pot smoke.
Oh. Just had a little of that marijuana and cooled everybody out.
The planet cooled.
Yeah. Well, that would
the
be,
aliens came and they blew pot that encased the Earth for 2 years,
and everyone just got along.
They got along. Restaurants were thriving, and
everybody was treated as equal, like in the, just like in amazing. Yeah, that would be
awesome. A planet. I would love to see aliens, really, because for years, you hear about them and they're hiding them.
Do you actually feel that?
I think they're out there.
I think I'm open to it.
I'm open to it because if you believe God created us, why wouldn't you have created something else? And we're not the only planet. Now that scientists can say there's this many galaxies and maybe even more. Well,
I've always been open to it.
Yeah.
It's like death. It's like, listen, I haven't seen anybody that has come back. I know I have, but I'd like to think of it as a nice place that I'm going. But I haven't. I'd like to think that, that we could make this thing happen. I don't know. It's the unknown. It's like, it's the unknown. It's crazy.
What do you say to people that want to do the whole, because now there's, religion is just for the stupid, God was only an invention to control people, I want to believe that there's more. Even when they talk about the Big Bang Theory, okay, two molecules did bounce off of each other. That's the Big Bang. Okay, but who created the molecule? Yeah. Who created the two molecules then?
Religion and the Bible, the two, the great divide in some ways. I like to, being raised. Again, it's how you're raised, just like you're raised to be a bigot or you're raised to be a Catholic or whatever it is. But as you get older, where is your head? I think, if you just, I lost my train.
I think there's a lot of stupid people today, though. And I hate to, I just don't think people read and educate themselves about a lot of things, especially when you watch TikTok. I just saw you shake your head. I saw a video today of this couple videotaping a wild hog, a wild boar that's walking toward them. And they go, "Oh, look how big he is. Oh, look at that. I wonder if I can pet him. Help me, ah!" And the camera's on the ground, and you think, who in their right mind, who doesn't know that wild boars are one of the most vicious animals on the planet? See, things like that, you go, how do you not know that? How did you make it to in your 20s or 30s and not know I shouldn't pet a wild boar?
Maybe never watched TV. I always had a little cartoon of a little baby boar, and he thought, just crazy. I don't know.
I just think there's a lot of people that walk through the planet now with blinders. If it doesn't immediately affect me, I don't need to know.
Yeah.
Where I think we grew up with, like, your grandparents told you stories, you heard about something,
Well, again, it's how you're raised. If you're raised a certain way, you think a certain way, depending on how your head is. Again, like you could be raised in the same home, but each person. Same religion, same everything, but this son is on a different track completely, or this daughter, or they're all doctors. You get the family where someone really fucking nailed it home, where everybody is a lawyer, just like mom. Everybody's a doctor.
Yeah, the whole family is just like, wow.
But they're so tight. They no sense of humor. They just, they make money. And
there's some deep, dark secret inside that
everybody's
house.
A fucking alcoholic, nobody's business. But they got that part right. Yeah. They got the financial and the drive to really stabilize, strong, firm business, and not just you made something out of yourself.
Way to go, my son.
God damn it, not just you. Look at these people.
Well, that's pretty much my act right there. Look at these people.
Yeah.
Have you noticed this? Yeah. Why do people do that? Who are these idiots?
Exactly. That's why they all go to Walmart. Yeah, right. No, that's what you find in Walmart. Yeah.
Yeah. I was writing a joke today. I had this idea about how to rules for dating. Like, people always go on apps and they look for something in common. Mm-hmm. And I go, well, in the old days, you didn't have apps. You had to actually be like a detective. Do I have a chance with this girl? You know, do I have to figure it out? You know, you look at her car and you think, ooh, no, her tires all match. She's for money. She might be out of my league.
Yeah.
You know, you look for little things like, you know,
well,
the girl could be like, what kind of car does he drive? Oh, he's got Bondo on it. Ooh, he might not be for me. You know, like.
Well, is that being too materialistic? Or?
Could be. You know what I mean?
Well,
but then you find that out about her, that she's materialistic instead of just swiping right. You know.
Well, you got to ask questions, but you got to hope everybody's being truthful.
Yeah, like the old days, you looked for certain signs at a bar, like, you know, like, do I have a chance with her? Like, ooh, she smokes, she makes bad decisions, I have a chance. You know, that kind of, you know.
Well, you got to trial and error.
Yeah.
You know, trial and error. But, I mean, when it comes to the internet, then everybody posting pictures that aren't them and that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah, hair over half their face.
Like, dude, you know, it's like my son would, I said, you met this girl? Where did you meet her at? On the internet. I said, really, Shane? Well, how do you know it's her? I mean, have you, like, FaceTime where you could actually...
exchange other pictures?
That part, you know, you filtrated through the bullshit where you actually, okay, you're FaceTiming. You actually can see that, you know, okay. All right, that's one thing. But
I want a body time. I want to see the whole thing. Yeah. Don't just show me your face, because there's good angles.
No. You know, because, you know, you may not have the right face, but the body might just have you going in a burning building.
Right.
To get to it, you know, vice versa. Sometimes the face is pretty, but, you know, I don't know.
Wow, we're being so shallow. Look at us being male, men. Get some men. Why are they like
with
that?
With a mind, with a mind. We want people, nice people, you know. I mean, you had 4 wives. I've had 2 wives.
Well,
I got only one. No,
My sister said when she was dating back in the day, she said, you should always do a man's laundry. I go, really? She goes, yeah. Look at his underwear. If he's got stains in his underwear and he's too lazy to wipe his own ass, you don't want to date him. And I go, well, there's a clue.
Well, he just might be nice all over, but he just needs a little guidance.
He might need a woman just to help him.
You know, clean himself up.
Right.
You know,
that might not have been That might have been something.
Don't let a stained drawer take you away from a good man. Yeah.
Don't let a little doo-doo take you away from a good man.
There's a new song.
Don't let the doo-doo.
Yeah. Don't let this stain distract you. I'm a real nice person.
It's not doo-doo wop. Doo-doo wop.
Yeah, well, sometimes, you know, it's like, oh, God, like, you know, the breath smells, but might be a nice person, just needs somebody to pull his coat, brush your teeth, use a mint or something. You know, you've been running off at the mouth too much. Come on now, you foaming.
Show him a boobie and say, did you want this? Go brush your teeth.
Before you eat, please.
See, I think a lot of women have forgotten the power that they actually have. You know,
well, some of them do,
or overuse the power.
Yeah,
you know, because they want to do the WAP. You know, WAP. But the
WAP.
Well, you know, you've heard that song, right? WAP.
WAP. Don't start me lying. Let me see. Educate me.
Wet ass pussy.
Oh,
it's a song. Was a big song.
WAP.
You didn't know?
No.
Oh, yeah. It was a big song on...
What, country and western?
No. Like rap, R&B kind of, yeah. I think it was Cardi B, I think.
Oh, yeah? Okay, okay.
But it was
Wet
like...
ass pussy.
Yeah. Songs have changed since when they were like...
No, I probably heard it. I'm sure I've heard
where can my baby be?
Yeah.
But things have changed.
Yeah, no, the Cardi B, but there's something. Yeah, the rap world. Yeah. Thank God I got kids, they can educate me. That's why I try to do a few little things when it comes to music, trying to be a little bit more hip as we slowly go to the grave. Did I say that? No, I don't mean it that way.
1 foot over the coffin, sweet Jesus.
Oh, God, no. You had asked me something earlier and I completely I think...
the flashing phone.
The thing, not the flashing phone, the flashing other thing.
It was
derailed me because
what would you? The one thing at President Finis.
Well, I remember you. No, it was before that. Not the what would I do? How could I make this a better world? Or how could we get along? It was something else. But still, I agree with you when it comes to that. If it's possible to go to that time with some modern changes where people will be respectful.
Yeah.
The laws are fair laws. There's so many laws. Which law do you try to change first? Just treat everybody fair. I think one of the biggest laws, if anything, would be not to take the money from the police.
Yeah.
But to definitely put the right officers in the right area and educate them so that they don't do the George,
Yeah, or put them back on the street where people go, hey, that's Officer Bob, walks by here all the time.
Exactly. Let them, but, the police, they live in the suburbs, they live somewhere else. Yeah, if you could do that where you recruit law enforcement that will be in the areas, just apply the right ones to the right area. That would help tremendously, and just, that would help. But I mean,
I think one thing that really helps
crazy
is getting rid of mainstream media. I honestly think we get lied to by both sides. And I miss the days of this is Walter Cronkite.
Yeah.
There was an air crash today at the airport. There was, and that was here's the stories, here's the facts. 30 minutes news is over. And now they're like, what can we create? What can we say happened? What's the bad thing? How should we spin it?
Well, again, they, the whole Facebook issue, with them, with the Fox and CNN, and, I would listen to them, and it's crazy. It's like, who do you believe? Did he really say that, or
would you just clip that little thing?
Jesus. And today, Captain Kirk went up into outer space and came back. That was
right.
That was something.
He's
special.
boldly gone where no 90-year-old man has gone
before. Yeah.
Yeah. His 90-year-old man body felt weightless for a second.
Did you watch it at all?
I saw some clips of it on.
Amazing, because with SpaceX, their shit was really well. They went up for an orbit.
Yeah.
But where this one is
10 minutes or whatever.
Everybody had their own car. Driving to. They had to walk up the stairs.
Yeah, I'll meet you there. It was
very sparse. It wasn't because the SpaceX.
Put the helmets on.
They just had the hoses. A jumpsuit.
That's what I thought.
No helmet or nothing. They didn't even have a helmet.
Right. When I watched them floating around inside, they didn't have a. Where was their whole?
No,
they didn't change clothes into this is my floating around suit.
Yeah, they didn't have anything. They just. But man, that was scary, but it came back.
And
he is officially a nightmare.
He's officially a Starfleet captain. I mean, he went to outer space. He's the only actor I think that's done the role that he portrayed. John Wayne never had a gunfight.
Well, if you did, we didn't talk about it.
But Captain Kirk has actually been to space.
Yes, he has.
That's awesome.
It is. I get nervous going to Magic Mountain, let alone something a ride like that.
Well,
anyway,
thanks for doing the podcast. I appreciate it. This is the point. This is the point.
Having me.
Oh yeah, this is the point where I always say, tell people how to find you.
Yeah.
What is your website?
Finis.com.
Is it Finis.com?
Finis.com. You can find me. You can find Finis Henderson on YouTube. You can get my album on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music. Finis Henderson on my Motown album. That's it. Work with him for up to 10 years, and I'm happy to be alive, and I'm just trying to do the best I can.
Aren't we all?
And I'm praying for it, brother. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for doing the show. I appreciate it. Pound it out.
I know that I was incoherent in some areas.
Not at all.
Certain things that you went that way, and I went over the window, out the door.
And then back again.
Yeah. I can hear my wife saying it now. Would you just answer a direct question?
She probably, you do that to me. That's the way you do. That's what makes me so
I'm going to get to you.
I ask you, what?
Yeah. I got to go around the fence post.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening to the podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, share it with your friends. Go to iTunes. Give us a great review, because that's the only way people get moved up in the iTunes catalog is you get a good review and they move you up. More people find you, and that's the way we get our advertising. So until next time, God bless America. Go listen to some Oak Ridge Boys. I bid you adieu.
Peace.
basement of the mud flap house, flapping and poo, and they're under where thing rains and news, and poo licks herself, and flap contemplates manly things. He thinks about guns and trucks and Stooges 3, men and boys, and that doesn't sound right. He thinks about boobs and bacon and power tools. Come with me, let's remasculate. Oh, won't you come with me?